Okay, so going over this test question, you're here, right? You see 5x minus 5x both on the same side of the equal sign. When you combine those, isn't 5x minus 5x 0? So many of you said that it was x. 5x minus 5x is not x. 5x minus 4x is x. But 5x minus 5x is 0. Some of you wrote 0x, which is true, but isn't 0 times x just 0? Yeah, so what you end up getting, if these two just cancel each other out, you're left with negative 6 equals negative 6. Well, all my variables are gone, and what does that mean if I have something that's true? Negative 6 does equal negative 6. That's when that means all real numbers or infinite solutions. Right, that's the one thing you don't want to say. Okay? And some of you had done this instead, so just to show you that it doesn't matter if you had 5x minus 6x minus 5x. Some of you started by adding 6 to both sides, I think, which is fine. You can definitely do that. Now you're here, 0 equals 5x minus 5x. Well, again, 5x minus 5x is 0. So you get 0 equals 0, which is still a true statement, and that's what it means. Infinite solutions are all real numbers, okay? Then, when you look at one like number 23, oh, this one just about broke my heart. So this one, obviously the answer is no solution, but let's see why. So you have negative 3a plus 8a equals 5a plus 2. All right, so a lot of you started off by combining these two because they're on the same side of the equal sign. Negative 3a plus 8a is 5a equals 5a plus 2. Then you did this. Then you were like, oh, okay, I need to get the a's together. So then you minus 5a from both sides. Perfect, exactly what you're supposed to do. But then, I don't know why, but all of a sudden everybody is saying 5a minus 5a is a. Or I saw so many of you rate a 0, and then you were like, oh, that can't be right. And then you went over it and wrote an A on top of it. You're not wrong. That is what happens. You get 0 equals 2.
I didn't put anything there. I just put the answer as 2.
Why?
I don't know, because it was nothing.
Well, what does this mean, though? What does it mean when all your variables are gone and you have something that's not true? This is when you have no solution. This is a great one that hopefully maybe you would have found your mistake if you checked your answer. So out of, I don't know, I think there's like 18 of you, probably 11 people told me the answer was 2. If you take 2 and plug it back in, it doesn't work. Neither does any other number in the whole wide world. Because there is no solution to this. And it's a little bit easier to see it right at this line. See how you have 5a equals 5a plus 2? How could I take a number, so a is just some random number, I'm going to multiply that number by 5, but on one side I'm going to add 2. How could that stay equal? You get what I'm saying? If I take 2 numbers and I multiply them both by 5, they're still equal right now, right? But then if I add 2 to one side, not the other, there's no way it could be equal. So there's no way that there's an answer to this. Anywho, so those are those two. I hope that kind of clears up the infinite solutions versus no solutions. And getting an answer of 0 is something totally different. That's just an answer. 0 is a number like anybody else. Okay, so you want an 8, David?
Yeah.
Yes, 8. Okay. So let's see. A lot of you went ahead and cleared the fractions on this. And some of you didn't. Some of you just added 1 and 1/11th to the other side. And that's fine too. It doesn't matter. I don't know. What did you just add 1 and 1/11th? Okay, let's do that. So if I add 1 and 1/11th to both sides, 1 and 1/11th, here's where I'm at. I have negative 1/11th plus 1 and 1/11th. What happens when you take away 1/11th from 1 and 1/11th? What's left?
1.
Just 1. some people, at least one person I know, didn't see the 1 there. And they just they thought it was 0, I think, because they just added 1/11 to a negative 1/11. You got to be careful. So you could also turn it to improper and then clear the fractions. Any way you do it, you should end up at +1. Okay, what else? Other ones that you want me to go over, or? It was mostly at the end. Things started getting kind of bad. I remember a lot of errors on 17. So let's look at 17 real quick. So these are the right answers. You could have done it as a mixed number or improper, doesn't matter. So let's see. First thing I would do if I'm doing this one is change this to improper. So 7 times 6 is 42 plus the 3 is 45, right? Remember, you ignore the negative when you're changing it to improper. So 42 plus 3 is 45/7, and then I just make the whole thing negative. Equals -1 minus x. So what am I going to multiply everything by to clear these fractions? 7. Divide down, multiply up. Divide down, multiply up. So I get -45. You have to multiply everybody by 7, not just the fraction. So I have to do -1 times 7 and 7 times -x. So you had to do all those steps. Now I want to get x by itself, so I should add 7, and I think this is where I kind of lost a bunch of you. The signs are so important. -45 plus 7, where does that leave you? If I'm down by 45 and I get 7 points, where am I? -38 equals -7x. So now all I have to do is divide both sides by a -7. And that's how I end up making this positive 38/7. I had a lot of you with the right denominator, but then the rest.
Yeah, that's what I had. I got 40 somehow.
Be careful. Are there any other ones that you're looking at that I tried to kind of show you what was wrong if I could. Are you sure? Even, how about 16? Look at all those fractions. Did you get it? Let's do 16. So 16, let's see. I would start by making everything improper. So 7/6, 7/3, x. 36 plus 13 is 49. And then I'll just keep it negative. 49/18. Was 49 right? Okay. Now, what's my magic number going to be that I multiply everything by to get rid of these fractions? Go ahead, Kaden. What'd you say? I want to do 18, right? Because 6, 3, and 18 all divide into 18. So let's multiply by 18. Divide down, multiply up. So 18 divided by 6 is 3 times 7 is, so I get a 21 there. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 7, 42. And then 18 divided by 18 is just 1 times the -49. Okay, much better. Now all I have to do is minus this 21. If these are both negatives, what do I really do? Add. So that's going to be a -70, and then I have to divide it by 42. Okay. Now, that is not the same as your answer. Because this can be, yes, for sure. If I took off points and I put an R, you just didn't reduce. So let's see, what goes into both of these? 7 does. I actually think 14 does too, but let's do it by 7. So it'd be a negative 10 over 6, and then I can reduce by 2 again, and that's how I end up with the negative 5/3. Okay, guys. Anything else? All right, if you say so.